In this video, I'll show you the process that I went through to build this laser cut wood kit from JL Innovative Design. So the kit consists of laser cut wood walls, plastic and metal details, and a sheet of printed signs to add to the building. All in all, it took about 4.5 hours to build this kit. I've cut it down to about 10 minutes for this video. So following the kit instructions, the first step was to pre-paint the walls and details. So I used a dark gray spray paint for the wall components and then red for some of the trim. So once the paint dried, the first step was to cut some strip wood to serve as roof supports. I glued these onto the back of the wall section, following measurements that were in the kit instructions. To glue wood pieces onto other wood pieces in this kit, I just used Elmer's wood glue, applied it sparingly with a toothpick, and then I cleaned up any bits that oozed out of the joint so that it didn't form lumps when it dried up. I used a straight edge to draw a reference line on the walls that didn't have window openings that I could follow easily, and this helped me make sure that the roof was going to lay flat and level. So the kit instructions recommended assembling all the walls as flat pieces before assembling them all together into the building. I know some people like to build the structure first and then add the details. But for this kit, I did all of the wall details separately. So the kit came with a sheet of clear plastic to use for the windows. So I measured the window openings and cut it to size. To glue the plastic on, I used microscale crystal clear because it dries transparent and it's not very noticeable if any oozes onto the window. I did the same steps for all the different windows. I only show a few in this video just for time's sake. The back door and windows were plastic pieces that I had painted red when I was spraying the walls. I used CA glue to attach these plastic pieces to the back wall. The kit came with a nice variety of storefront and advertisement signs that really add a lot of character to the building. I decided to add these behind the glass so that they appeared to be mounted behind the windows. So when I cut them out, I left a little bit of the white border around the printed sign so that there would be some material to catch the glue and not have the glue ooze out in front of the actual printed sign. And I'm using microscale crystal clear for this part of the process. Some of the signs attached to the outside of the walls, and I just used straight Elmer's white glue to glue those to the outside of the building. Whenever I'm using the white glue, I try to spread it really thin with my finger so that it doesn't wrinkle the paper sign or ooze out too much around the edges. I didn't use all the signs that were included in the kit. I thought it looked a little bit too cluttered with everything in place. But now that the walls are all decorated, we can move on to assembly. So very first two walls I put together, I used a square to make sure that the joint was at a right angle and to get everything lined up. And then once those is set, I glued the roof piece onto the top, and that helped me position the other walls. Probably the trickiest part of building this kit was placing this angled wall. I had to trim the roof back a little bit to get everything to fit nice and snug, but eventually it all fit together pretty well. The next step was to add some strip wood to the roof to represent seams in the tar paper sheathing. And then I added the wall cap that was a pre-cut piece that fit over the tops of the walls. Another tricky part to this kit was gluing on this upright sign. There's not really a bracket or anything holding it on to the top of the roof, so I just had to put a drop of glue there and hold it for a couple of minutes until the glue set. And then I added some wire tension rods following the kit instructions. The next step is to construct the billboard that goes on the rooftop. So I cut strip wood legs to length and glued them onto the back of the wood piece. The angled supports are laser cut pieces that are easy to cut out, and I glued them onto the vertical legs. The alley side of the building has a small platform coming off the back door. So the wooden legs are cut out of strip wood, and there are supports and railing and stairs that are part of the detail pieces. I had to sand the edge of the staircase a little bit to get it to fit snugly against the ramp and sit flat on the ground. So with the major assemblies all done, the last step was to paint the details that came with the kit. Most of these are cast out of soft metal. I had to clean up the casting sprues and parting lines with a file before painting them. I used a palette of mostly silver, black, and white for the metal parts, and then shades of brown for the wooden parts. I tend to use a lot of basic colors and just kind of mix and match by eye to see what looks right to me. Started with the galvanized roof ducts and barrels. I also added a little bit of silver to the railing to make it look like the red paint was chipping away and that you could see the metal underneath it. I decided not to weather the building at this point. I'm going to put it on my layout and kind of see how it looks and figure out overall weathering at a later time. I started painting the back platform with a light wood color, and later on I'll go over it with a black wash to make it look a little bit more weathered. Painting was definitely one of the more time-consuming parts of building this kit. There are a lot of different detail pieces, and each one has a little bit different shade of color to it to make it stand out. But I think the time is really well worth it because it makes the model have a lot of character and stand out. I also went back and painted the brass wire that I'd used as tension rods for the sign. And finally I went back and I added a black wash to the back platform, and this gives the wood a weathered effect. As a final step, I added the billboard sign just using some white glue. And with that, the building was ready to get put on the layout. So I decided to put this building in an industrial area of my layout. It's kind of nestled in between some larger factory buildings. Eventually I'm going to put in a road in front of it that crosses the tracks. Overall, this kit was a lot of fun to build. I'd classify it as an intermediate difficulty kit, just because there is a lot of cutting your own strip wood and painting your own detailed parts. But like I said, the effort I think is well worth it, and it gives you a structure that's a little bit unusual, and it has a lot of character. I hope you enjoyed walking through the build process with me, and thanks for watching.